The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Ryan Mitchell stared at the device buzzing against the marble table at Second Chance's cafe, each vibration sending ripples through his untouched cold brew. The name Trevor flashed on screen for the seventh time in 20 minutes. Behind the espresso machine, Alex Chen noticed everything. The way Ryan's shoulders hunched forward like he was bracing for impact. The way his fingers trembled as he reached for the phone, only to pull back. The way his pressed shirt now had wrinkles. The phone buzzed again. This time, Ryan's composure shattered. He looked up at Alex with desperate eyes. "I need to ask you something, and it's going to sound insane." Alex paused mid-pour. Vietnamese iced coffee suspended between glass and metal filter his grandmother brought from Saigon. 3 years at Second Chances taught him to recognize someone whose life was imploding. "I need you to answer this call," Ryan said, extending the phone with shaking hands. "And I need you to tell him you're my boyfriend." The cafe fell silent except for the espresso machine's hum and Portland waking outside. Alex set down the coffee slowly, mind racing. Something in Ryan's expression stopped him from walking away. "Please," Ryan whispered, carrying weight of someone who'd tried everything else. "If I don't answer, he's going to destroy everything, my company, my reputation, everything." Alex had learned to read people during 3 years of pulling shots. This felt different. Ryan wasn't performing desperation. He was drowning in it. "Who is he?" Alex asked quietly. "My ex," Ryan said like a confession. "We broke up at last year's Pride Parade, in front of 200 people. He grabbed the microphone and announced I'd been using him for diversity points in business. Said I was a fraud." Alex winced. Portland's Pride Parade was sacred ground. To have something so personal explode there was devastating. "Part of what he said wasn't wrong," Ryan continued, voice getting smaller. "I was scared to come out to family, business partners. I kept our relationship quiet too long, but I loved him. And when I finally tried to go public, he said it was too little, too late." The phone buzzed again. Alex looked at the screen, seeing a weapon. Someone with power to unravel years of work with one social media post. "He has 500,000 Instagram followers," Ryan said. "Lifestyle influencer. He's been posting hostile content about fake corporate diversity. My company's going public. If he connects the dots publicly." Alex understood precarious success. He'd been rebuilding his life for 3 years, since the car accident that took his parents and left him responsible for Sister Lynn. "Okay," Alex said, surprising himself. "But after this call, you tell me everything." Ryan nodded frantically as he pressed accept and handed over the phone. "Hello," Alex said, keeping his voice steady. "Who the hell is this?" The voice was sharp, polished. "Put Ryan on." "I'm Alex," he said, meeting Ryan's eyes. Ryan's boyfriend. The silence felt like standing on a cliff edge. When Trevor finally spoke, his laugh was cold. "Boyfriend," he repeated, dripping with skepticism. "How long has this been going on?" 6 months, Alex said, surprised how easily the lie came. He watched Ryan's shoulders drop. "And I suppose you just appeared right after Ryan realized he needed better PR." Alex felt anger spike on Ryan's behalf. "I serve him coffee every morning. We started talking. Things developed naturally. Some people don't need to broadcast relationships to prove they're real." Another silence. Then Trevor's voice, softer but more dangerous. "Put him on. I want to hear him say it." Alex handed the phone back. Ryan's hands were steadier, but his eyes still held that trapped look. "Trevor," Ryan said, voice controlled but gaining strength. "Yes, I'm seeing someone. We've been together 6 months, and it has subscribed to Heart Stories." Ryan's story unfolded like layers of an onion, each revelation bringing tears to Alex's eyes. The pressure from his father, a Silicon Valley executive who'd built his fortune on being pragmatic above all else. The engagement to Sarah, a brilliant marketing director who'd never questioned why their physical intimacy felt forced and mechanical. The quiet desperation of building a company while living a lie. I thought if I could just be successful enough, Ryan said, stirring his cold coffee absently, maybe the rest wouldn't matter. Maybe I could buy my way into acceptance, even from myself. Alex understood that particular brand of self-deception. After his parents died, he'd thrown himself into work, into caring for Lynn, into anything that meant he didn't have to process the grief or face his own dreams of nursing school that felt impossibly distant now. "What about Trevor?" Alex asked. "How did you two actually meet?" Ryan's face softened for the first time that morning. He was volunteering at an LGBTQ+ youth shelter downtown. I was there making a corporate donation, the kind of thing that looks good on tax forms and press releases. But Trevor was different. He actually called me out on it. The memory seemed to transport Ryan back to that moment. Trevor had been wearing paint-splattered jeans and an oversized sweater, his hair catching Portland's rare autumn sunlight as he helped teenagers plant a community garden. When Ryan approached with his oversized check-in photographer in tow, Trevor had looked him up and down with undisguised skepticism. He asked me if I knew any of their names. Ryan continued. "The kids we were supposedly helping. Of course I didn't. He made me stay for 3 hours actually talking to them, learning their stories. This kid Marcus told me about getting kicked out at 14. Another girl, Destiny, had been living in her car for months." Alex could picture it perfectly. Trevor's passionate intensity, the way he probably got when he truly cared about something, versus Ryan's corporate armor slowly cracking under genuine human connection. "By the end of that day, I was completely gone for him," Ryan admitted. "Not just attracted, though he was beautiful, but the way he saw the world, the way he fought for people who couldn't fight for themselves. I'd never met anyone like that." The relationship had been electric from the beginning. Late-night conversations about social justice that turned into passionate debates. Trevor introducing Ryan to drag shows and community organizing. Ryan bringing Trevor into his world of tech conferences and startup culture. Both of them navigating the space between Ryan's privilege and Trevor's grassroots activism. "For 8 months, it was perfect," Ryan said. "Or I thought it was. Trevor was patient with my fears about coming out publicly. He understood the business pressures, the family expectations. But I kept pushing the timeline back. Just until after this investor meeting. Just until after we launched the new product. Just until he got tired of waiting." Alex finished quietly. "The Pride Parade was supposed to be our debut," Ryan said, pain evident in his voice. "I'd finally worked up the courage to be public about us. Trevor had been planning this community speech about corporate allyship versus authentic support. He'd written this beautiful thing about how love and activism weren't separate forces." Alex could imagine Trevor on that stage, passionate and articulate, probably wearing something that managed to be both political and stylish. The kind of person who could hold a crowd's attention with pure conviction. "But the night before, I got scared," Ryan continued. "My dad called about some investors who were traditional values types. Said it might be better to keep things quiet just a little longer. I asked Trevor to postpone the speech, to give me more time. The betrayal in Trevor's eye, sometimes healing, begins with, the Instagram post went live at midnight on a Tuesday, just when Portland's tech community would be scrolling through their phones before bed. Trevor had crafted it carefully, a series of stories that started with throwback photos from Pride Parade and built into a devastating expose about corporate rainbow washing and the CEOs who profit from our pain." Ryan's phone started buzzing at 6 in the morning. First his business partner Marcus, then 3 board members, then reporters from TechCrunch and The Oregonian. By the time he stumbled into second chances for his usual coffee, his company's stock had dropped 12% in pre-market trading. Alex took one look at Ryan's face and immediately guided him to the back corner table, away from the growing crowd of morning commuters. Ryan's hands shook as he showed Alex his phone screen, filled with notifications, missed calls, and increasingly frantic text messages. "He posted screenshots of our private messages," Ryan said, voice hollow. Things I said about being scared of investor reactions, about timing the announcement for maximum PR benefit. He made it look like our entire relationship was a calculated business move. The posts were surgical in their precision. Trevor had included context that made Ryan look calculating while painting himself as the naive victim of corporate manipulation. Photos of them together at company events, captions that highlighted every moment Ryan had chosen business over authenticity. My phone hasn't stopped ringing, Ryan continued. The Times wants a statement about performative allyship in Silicon Valley. Our biggest investor is calling an emergency board meeting. 3 employees have already emailed HR asking about the company's actual commitment to LGBTQ+ rights. Alex read through the post with growing anger. Yes, Ryan had made mistakes, had been scared and imperfect in how he handled coming out. But Trevor was weaponizing their private pain for public consumption, turning personal heartbreak into social media content. What are you going to do? Alex asked. I don't know, Ryan admitted. My lawyer says I should stay quiet, let it blow over. But staying quiet is what got me into this mess in the first place. At that moment, Alex's phone rang. Lynn's school number flashed on the screen, and his stomach immediately clenched. Emergency calls during school hours never brought good news. Alex, the voice belonged to Mrs. Rodriguez, the school nurse. Lynn collapsed during soccer practice. We're taking her to Legacy Emmanuel. Her glucose levels are extremely high. The world seemed to tilt sideways. Alex had been managing Lynn's type 1 diabetes since she was diagnosed 2 years ago. But she'd been so stable lately that they'd both started taking the routine for granted. He grabbed his keys and jacket, already calculating ambulance costs and specialist fees that their insurance would only partially cover. I have to go, Alex said to Ryan, who was watching with concern. My sister's in the hospital. I'm coming with you, Ryan said immediately, standing up. You don't have to do that, and you have your own crisis to deal with. Alex, Ryan said firmly, you helped me when I was drowning. Let me return the favor. The drive to Legacy Emmanuel was tense. Alex's knuckles white on the steering wheel while Ryan fielded increasingly urgent calls from his business partners. But every few minutes, Ryan would put his hand on Alex's shoulder, offering silent support that somehow kept Alex from completely falling apart. At the hospital, they found Lynn stable but exhausted, her soccer uniform replaced by a hospital gown and a tangle of monitoring wires. She looked so young and vulnerable that Alex felt his chest tighten with familiar panic. Her pump malfunctioned, Dr. Patel explained. She's been running high for probably 6 hours before anyone noticed the symptoms. Will's sometimes courage means radical honesty about our imperfectory statement went live on the company blog at 7 in the morning, simultaneously posted across his personal social media accounts. Instead of a corporate spin or defensive justifications, he wrote with raw honesty about fear, privilege, and the long journey toward authentic living. I hurt someone I loved by prioritizing my comfort over our relationship. The post began. I used business concerns to justify staying in the closet when I should have been brave enough to stand proudly beside the man who believed in me. This isn't about public relations or damage control. This is about accountability. The response was immediate and polarized. Tech blogs picked up the story within hours. Some praised his honesty and vulnerability. Others criticized him for airing personal grievances publicly. But something unexpected happened in the comments section and social media shares. Real people began sharing their own stories. A programmer in Seattle wrote about coming out at 35 after years of fear about career implications. A marketing executive in San Francisco shared her experience with a company that talked diversity but passed her over for promotions after she married her wife. Parents wrote about learning to support their LGBTQ+ children after initial rejection and fear. It's working, Alex said, scrolling through the responses on his phone while sitting beside Lynn's hospital bed. People are connecting with the honesty instead of just picking sides. Lynn, feeling better after a night of monitoring and medication adjustments, looked between Alex and Ryan with the sharp perception that only teenagers possess. So you two are dating now? She asked bluntly. Alex nearly choked on his coffee. We're not, I mean, we haven't. It's complicated. Looks pretty simple from here, Lynn said with a slight smile. He stayed at the hospital all night for someone he barely knows. Either he's incredibly nice or he's falling for my brother. Ryan's face flushed, but he met Lynn's direct gaze. Maybe both, he said quietly. The honesty hung in the air between them like Portland morning mist, soft and transformative. Alex felt his heart skip in a way that had nothing to do with stress and everything to do with possibility. But the real test came that afternoon when Marcus Thompson, the cafe owner, called an emergency community meeting. Word had spread through Portland's tight-knit LGBTQ+ community about the Instagram drama. Ryan's response? In the growing online conversation, people had opinions, and they wanted to be heard. Second Ebriance's cafe was packed that evening with an unlikely mix of tech workers, activists, college students, and longtime community members. Trevor sat in the front row, looking smaller and more uncertain than his online persona suggested. Alex recognized several faces from Pride events and community fundraisers, people whose respect and support formed the backbone of Portland's queer scene. Marcus stood behind his counter, his presence both welcoming and authoritative. As a former social worker who transitioned into community organizing through cafe ownership, he understood how to hold space for difficult conversations. We're here because social media drama became real community business, Marcus said, his deep voice carrying over the crowded room. When our public fights start affecting people's livelihoods and mental health, it stops being entertainment and starts being harm. Trevor spoke first, his usual confident delivery replaced by something more vulnerable. I posted those stories because I was hurt and angry, he admitted. Ryan made promises he didn't keep, and I felt used and disposable. But somewhere along the way, I stopped fighting for justice and started fighting for revenge. The crowd listened in tense silence as Trevor continued. I weaponized my platform and our private pain for public con. Sometimes foundations grow stronger through choosing connection over isolation. 6 months later, Portland's morning light filtered through the windows of Second Chance's cafe, illuminating a scene that would have seemed impossible during those first desperate phone calls. Alex stood behind the espresso machine wearing scrubs underneath his apron, having started nursing school the previous semester with support from a scholarship fund that Ryan's company had helped establish. The cafe itself had transformed. What began as Marcus's small business had evolved into a community-owned cooperative, with Alex serving as assistant manager while completing his nursing degree. The walls displayed local LGBTQ+ artists' work, and the back room hosted everything from support groups to financial literacy workshops. Ryan arrived at his usual time, but instead of the expensive suits and desperate energy of months past, he wore jeans and a flannel shirt, his laptop bag replaced by a reusable shopping tote filled with groceries for the community lunch program they'd started. "How's Lynn doing with her internship?" Ryan asked, settling into what had become their customary table by the window. "She loves it," Alex said, sliding a Vietnamese iced coffee across the table. "Dr. Rodriguez says she has a natural gift for environmental science research, and her glucose levels have been stable for 3 months now." The medical crisis that had brought them together felt like ancient history now. Lynn's new insulin pump worked perfectly, covered entirely by the community health fund that had grown from Ryan's initial emergency assistance into a broader mutual aid network serving dozens of families. Equal Pay had kept every promise made during that tense community meeting. The benefit corporation conversion was complete, with legally binding commitments to social and environmental impact alongside profit. The community advisory board included Dr. Rodriguez, Marcus, and several other local activists who met monthly to review company policies and community investments. More importantly, the company's internal culture had genuinely shifted. Employee resource groups had real power in budget allocation. Hiring practices actively recruited from historically excluded communities. The wage equity technology they developed was being licensed to other companies at cost, spreading fair pay practices throughout the tech industry. "Trevor sent a message yesterday," Ryan said, checking his phone. "His mental health advocacy platform officially launched. He wanted us to know that he's using his influence to promote therapy and community support rather than call out culture." The reconciliation between Ryan and Trevor had been slow and careful, mediated by community elders who understood both accountability and healing. Trevor had publicly acknowledged the harm his post had caused while maintaining his right to speak about his experiences. Ryan had apologized not just for his past cowardice, but for the ways his privilege had made Trevor feel disposable. They weren't friends, probably never would be, but they'd reached a place of mutual respect and shared commitment to community well-being over personal drama. Alex's phone buzzed with a text from Lynn. Got into Oregon State Early Admission Environmental Science program. He showed Ryan the message, both of them grinning at her excitement and the exclamation points that filled the screen. She's going to change the world, Ryan said with genuine pride, just like her brother. The compliment made Alex flush slightly, even after months of similar comments. He still sometimes felt overwhelmed by how much his life had changed since that morning, when desperation had led a stranger to ask for help with a phone call. Marcus wants to talk to us about something, Alex said, nodding toward them. Sometimes our greatest growth comes from learning to repair harm and build something beautiful from broken pieces. What communities are you building today? Subscribe to Heart Stories for more.